3 young lions had the giraffe calf cornered at the base of a jagged ridge. The little guy, barely 7 feet tall, a mere infant by giraffe standards, was backed against the rocks. His long, spindly legs were shaking, and his huge, dark eyes were wide with pure terror. One of the lions, a male with a developing dark mane, crouched low, muscles tensed for the killing spring. I spotted them through my binoculars from half a mile out. My heart hammered against my ribs. I slammed the pedal to the metal, my Jeep roaring as I ignored the deep ruts in the dirt. As I closed the gap to 50 yards, the lion launched. I hammered the horn. That piercing, rhythmic blast shattered the silence of the savannah. The lion flinched mid-air, landing inches from the calf's hooves. I didn't slow down, swerving the truck right between the predators and their prey. Dust kicked up in a massive screen. The lions weren't giving up their meal that easily. They hissed, baring teeth that could snap bone like dry kindling. I grabbed a flare, standard gear for backing off big cats, and held it out the window. The brilliant red hiss and acrid smoke finally broke them. They blinked, snarled one last time, and slunk away into the tall grass. I stepped out of the truck. The calf was frozen, literally paralyzed with fear. He had a long scratch on his flank from a lion's claw, but no deep wounds. But there was a bigger problem. He was completely alone. At this age, a giraffe is a mother's shadow. Being alone out here was a death sentence. Something had happened to his mom.
Base, this is Mark. I've got a lone giraffe calf, north slope of Sleeping Lion Ridge. Lions are gone, but no sign of the mother. I'm gonna track her. I radioed in. Tracking a giraffe in the dry season is like solving a puzzle with missing pieces. But a 1,000-pound animal leaves a mark. I started on foot, and the calf followed me. It was surreal. Sometimes when an animal is in total despair, they just know you're their only hope. He trotted behind me on those awkward legs, occasionally nudging my shoulder with his velvet muzzle. We'd gone about a mile when we hit a wall, literally.
Right in the middle of a thick acacia grove stood a black rhino. He heard us, but his eyesight was trash. Rhinos are the tanks of the savannah. They charge first and ask questions never. He lowered that horn, aiming it straight at my chest. The calf froze. I knew one charge would be the end of us. I started backing away slowly, making a low shh sound to show I wasn't a predator. The rhino snorted, kicking up a cloud of red dust, and did a mock charge. My heart stopped, but at the last second, he pivoted and crashed back into the brush. Path cleared. The tracks led us to a deep ravine, and that's where I saw her. A massive female giraffe was down on her side. She was tangled in a poacher's wire snare. It wasn't just holding her, it had sliced deep into her back leg, cutting off circulation. The giraffe, was completely spent. She had fought so hard she'd rubbed the skin raw. Vultures were already circling overhead. The calf made this tiny, pathetic whistling sound and ran to her. He started licking her face, trying to nudge her up. She barely lifted her head. Her eyes were clouded with pain. I realized we were out of time. If infection had hit the bone, she was a goner.
I called in the heavy hitters. I need the anti-poaching vet team. Bring wire cutters and heavy-duty antibiotics, now! The wait felt like hours. When the team arrived, it was like a well-oiled machine. While the vet administered a sedative to keep her calm, I held her head so she wouldn't thrash and hurt herself. That wire was aircraft grade. It didn't want to break. When the snare finally snapped, the wound was gruesome. The vet flushed it out, applied a thick medicinal paste, and slammed a cocktail of vitamins and antibiotics into her system. "She's weak, Mark," the vet whispered. "If she doesn't stand in the next hour, her organs will fail under her own weight."
We backed off to give them space. The calf never left her side. He kept pushing his head against her neck like he was begging her, "Come on, Mom, get up. We're free." And then it happened. She took a massive breath. Her powerful muscles surged, and with one shaky heave, she found her footing. She wobbled, her legs nearly buckling under the weight. The injury was fresh, and the sedative was still wearing off. It was a heart-stopping moment of pure vulnerability. With one final desperate push, she stood, shaky but upright. The silence of the ravine was finally broken by the sound of her heavy, triumphant breathing. She stood there for a minute, blinking, realizing the crushing pain in her leg was finally gone. She looked right at us. There was no fear in those eyes, just a strange, silent acknowledgement. The calf was literally dancing around her, his tail swishing in pure joy. She turned and began to limp slowly toward the horizon. I came back every day for the next 2 weeks to check on them. Each time, I found them under the same acacia tree. She was getting stronger with each visit. 2 weeks in, the change was remarkable. The deep, raw gash had closed, replaced with a clean pink scar. The swelling was gone, and her strength had returned. The baby was no longer a trembling orphan. He was thriving, his movements full of the clumsy energy only a healthy calf possesses. They were a team again. Then, one afternoon, the air changed. A distant, low-frequency hum vibrated through the trees. The rest of the herd was finally coming back for them. She lifted her head even higher, her nostrils flaring. She let out a low, vibrating hum, a call to her family that she was alive, healed, and ready to lead her calf home. The herd appeared as a shimmering line of long necks on the horizon. They were moving steadily toward the ravine, answering the mother's call. As the herd reached them, the air was filled with low hums and the gentle rubbing of necks. The mother and her calf were no longer outcasts. They were home. Just before they turned to follow the herd, the mother giraffe looked back one last time. For a brief second, our eyes met, a final, silent thank you. I watched them until they were just golden silhouettes against the sunset. They made it. And honestly, that's why I do this.
Stories like theirs happen out here every day, but they only get told if people like you are watching. If this rescue moved you, please hit that subscribe button. It helps more than you know. Thanks for being here.